The Bladeguard Veterans are, of course, veterans of the First Company, equipped with Baroque armor and master-crafted shields and swords. They represent elite fighters of the Primaris, and of course, are exemplary warriors for all Space Marines to look up to. Hello everybody, my name is Spoons Rattling, and today we are covering the Bladeguard Veterans. So, the Bladeguard Veterans come in at 90 points for 3 of them. They have 6 inches of movement, toughness 4, 3 wounds, 3+ save, and 4+ invulnerable save, leadership 6+, and OC 1. The 4+ invulnerable save is a huge help to keep them durable at their points cost of 30 points per model. In terms of ranged weapons, they all come stock standard with a heavy bolt pistol, which has 1 attack that hits on 3s at 18 inches range, strength 4, AP 1, and damage 1. A fairly whatever profile, though it's good for splatting a couple guardsmen. The Sergeant can swap out for either a plasma pistol or a Neo-Volkite pistol. We'll start with the plasma pistol, which of course has 2 profiles. At base, it has 1 attack that hits on 3s at 12 inches range, strength 7, AP 2, and damage 1. Or you can overcharge it to gain an extra strength, AP, and damage. This is fine enough again for shooting out a light infantry, though I wouldn't recommend going overcharging unless you are very desperate for extra damage against a target that it's efficient against. The Neo-Volkite pistol has devastating wounds, 1 attack that hits on 3s at 12-inch range, with strength 5, AP 0, and damage 2. This is a fairly whatever profile, fairly similar to the plasma pistol, I'd say. The devastating wounds is nice and could give you the odd point where you shoot and devastating wounds through something's tough armor like a vehicle, and the damage 2 is of course very nice. Then, of course, they are the Bladeguard Veterans, so their melee weapons are master-crafted power weapons. They'll have 4 attacks that hit on 3s at strength 5, AP 2, and damage 2. A fairly standard melee profile, though the damage 2 is a nice upgrade over a standard power weapon. This is a fairly generalist profile, but it will struggle against anything toughness 10 and above, as it won't wound it efficiently. This would be things like Predator tanks or Lehman Russes, and especially things like Land Raiders. In terms of their abilities, at the start of the fight phase, you select one of the following to apply to all the models in this unit, so this would apply to leaders as well. You can either reroll ones to hit in melee, or reroll ones on invulnerable saves, which are both handy enough abilities, and it really depends on if you got charged or if you're doing the charging, and if you're fighting your Oath of Moment target. Obviously, if you're fighting your Oath of Moment target, take the reroll ones on invulnerables, though if you got the charge on something that you're pretty confident you can kill, I would take the reroll ones just to make them a little bit more accurate, as they do have a slightly low quantity of attacks for their unit size, as there's only 3 of them. And they don't have a sweep mode like, say, the Inner Circle Companions. And speaking of, I'd say that the Bladeguard are sort of a jack-of-all-trades unit. They don't have the best damage or the best durability. Specifically in Dark Angels, Inner Circle Companions hit significantly harder than they do, and the Deathwing Knights are significantly tougher than they are. Now, of course, the Deathwing Knights come in a fixed unit, are much more expensive, but you're usually, if you're running Bladeguard, you'll be running them in 6s just for the durability purposes. Of course, that means they can jump out of an Impulsor, or they could jump out of any sort of transport, really. Jeez. This cough is really lingering, if you couldn't tell. Though I'd say their middle ground isn't necessarily a bad thing. Their damage isn't as impressive and can't go as far as the Inner Circle Companions, and their durability isn't as good as the Deathwing Knights. Obviously, because the Deathwing Knights are, practically unkillable for a lot of armies. In terms of leaders, the biggest one for them is definitely the Lieutenant, because he gives them lethal hits, which they really, really need, as they struggle to wound really tough things. And being Strength 5, they don't take buffs like +1 to wound quite as well as Strength 6 weapons do, like the Inner Circle Companions, which means they won't be quite as efficient in terms of buffs like that. And if you're bringing Azrael, I'd always bring Inner Circle Companions over these guys, as he gives the Inner Circle Companions a 4+ invulnerable save, which makes them way tougher, as they also have the -1 to hit while there's a character leading them. But I don't want you to come away from this thinking that, like, the Bladeguard are bad or anything. I think the Bladeguard are very solid bodyguards. They're just not quite as specialized, and I generally prefer slightly more damage or slightly more defense, though I think these guys offer a great blend and are a good take-all-comers unit. Anyways, I've been Spoons Rattling. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.